Welcome to the Security Café Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Cybersecurity Café. So I have two great guys in the cafe today. Quint Ketting, our regular table guest and co-host, and Mika. Thank you very much for joining, Mika. Maybe just to kick off, a short introduction on yourself. What are you doing? And then let's crack on with what's in the news. So Mika, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. And great to be here actually in this cafe. The coffee is still cold, but otherwise this is fine.
Nice.
My name is Mika Lauhde, and I have been working in the cybersecurity now more than 30 years, and I have been having a privilege to lead the Nokia cybersecurity and privacy more than 14 years. I was also living in China, leading the Huawei's cybersecurity and privacy several years, 11 years in the European Commission Cybersecurity Agency, ENISA. And today I'm working for the Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity, which is a national cybersecurity center and physical this kind of hub dedicated to strengthening the cyber resilience in Luxembourg, supervised by the Ministry of Economy, and it's acting as a central agency providing expertise, defense mechanism, and operational tool for municipalities, small businesses, and broader economy. And what we are aiming is the democratizing the cybersecurity, which is meaning that we are heavily focusing in the open source and the open data, open hardware, open standardization. This is shortly what we are doing here.
Very impressive and really glad to have you here, Mika. So what we will do is we will go into the news. I will start with Quint. So I give you a few seconds to think, Mika, on your news item. Quint, what's in the news?
Yeah, I got one, and the second one I would like to park for after Mika's news item. The first one is very short, but I would say it is definitely back to the trends that we've previously discussed as well. Mm-hmm. I saw yesterday that another large integrator actually got hit by a big data leak, probably more behind it than that. We don't know that yet. Okay. But what is clear is that a threat actor called 888 are claiming that they have captured a lot of data from Accenture. Given the things we discuss on this podcast, I have no more information. I have no more information than that, but knowing what I know and what I've seen over those also almost 30 years in this business, there's probably a little bit more behind it than meets the eye.
So from that perspective, Quint, what's the difference between, for instance, the Odido hack and a big integrator like Accenture, potentially, right? We need to be clear on that, potentially being hacked. What's the difference there?
Well, it's a good question because asking the question opens up a lot of different angles, right? So if someone just stole customer data out of a SaaS app, it's relatively, I would say, it's relatively innocent. Because and that sounds strange for me saying that because it's data from customers. You've got no credentials. Probably it's data, right? So it's naming, email addresses, typically like that. However, what we don't know, at least I don't know, right? If the hack is basically a prepared state actor hack, for instance, and if that's the case, they'll probably be in there for a longer time. And basically what's then come to the table is that they can probably use, because an integrator, and that's why I think it's very interesting, an integrator, they serve customers, right? So they run people's IT. And and again, at this stage, this is pure speculation. I'm just telling what could be an option, right? It could also be that because of the integrator that got hacked, again, I've only said their name once and I will not name them one because I do not want to name and shame. Absolutely not. But the
it's
potential
not about the integrator
here,
itself.
The potential, if there's, for instance, an APT group behind it, which I don't know yet. I don't know this threat actor 888, right, what they are and who they are. Didn't have the time to investigate. But if we've seen in the past integrators such as HP and IBM. They've been a victim from APT10 group called Cloud Panda, and that was basically to get to their customers, over the jump service to the environments and stuff like that. And you can find on the internet if you want to study about that threat actor, APT10 group, aka Cloud Panda. So when I hear an integrator is leaking data, to me that also boils immediately a light. Okay, is that the only thing? And again, pure speculation, just the thing. I hope nothing is more wrong.
Super interesting.
It gets me worried because we can talk about probably all day about the consequences of that.
Let's keep an eye on it, and let's hope it's again relatively innocent. But let's keep an eye on it, and if there's news to share, definitely find it in this channel. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Quint. Mika, what's in the news on your end?
Okay, the challenge sometimes with the news is that we are, sticking in the small, this kind of nitty-gritty details, and we are losing the sight for the big picture, what is happening. And this is also that there has been a trend, and it's just that it's accelerating this change what we are now seeing. And I would be claiming that the change outside of our windows is now much more faster than what is inside of the EU windows. But a couple of things which are, when they are starting to coming together, are concerning me. And what has been now happening is that, like Android. You saw already that the Google was publishing developer certificate, and this is of course big change for the open source and how the Android is going to be open, because it's basically meaning that it's a kill switch, which is able to kill every single application what you are like to be having there. So it's tightening the control. Then big thing was also that Africa, which nations which were now claiming that they are having own data protocol in the internet, and they are making their own Africa-based internet. Okay. And this is first sign for this kind of digital fragmentation which is happening internet level, splinternet. So I'm happy
nice.
that
I like that.
Yes, and
me too.
These are very concerning trends. Then, of course, that what I'm concerning me a bit is blocking the VPN in United Kingdom under 68 people, because there will be a collateral damage which will be happening. The funny thing is that UK is also outsourcing the age verification to Californian company called Persona. So it means that if you want to use application in UK, you have to give your credit card, your or not perhaps credit card, but your driver license, face, and
passport, something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Your birth certificate data kind of things, and prove that you are who you are, and that is significant, I think. Yeah.
And then actually seeing that for example, the CSAM, what is now once again in the top of the discussion, is that when you are combining the CSAM together with the developer certificate, it's starting really looking very, very bad, because we are now having basically a proposal from the European Parliament for the person who is accountable from the technology sovereignty, security and democracy. And this person is proposing that every EU member should be having non-European mobile phone with a non-European operating system, with non-European modem processor, etc., non-European application ecosystem, and non-European control point and kill switch. This do not sound technology sovereignty. Actually, it's saying
the way around,
we will be outsourcing the whole control and everything in the other countries. And last but not the least is perhaps this Trump against Slaughter court decision, which was happening as well in this week. So FTC was never totally independent, even we were claiming so. But now actually the U.S. constitutional law is saying there is no institution in USA which would be independent. And at the same time, GDPR is saying that there has to be an independent stakeholder. So basically what it means that GDPR is gone. So we should not be transferring any data actually to United States, because this is a violation of the GDPR legislation.
Exactly. So what we have in the background, what we have set up to be able to still work with the US providers, actually that agreement sort of is now gone, because
Yes.
the independency of those agencies governing that has been taken away, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is that of course, that what is EU now going to do? And of course, I'm knowing is that in the corridors of the Brussels there is people scratching their heads, but of course and I'm still hoping that we will be finding a solution. But now we are having two constitutional laws basically against each other, EU's and USA's, and the GDPR is there between the rock and hard place.
Yeah, indeed. So
Wow. Amazing. I didn't follow those things, but that brings me, I think, to basically the other news item that we parked on the table,
Okay.
right? So all these, let's say political decisions and development, right? It brings us to a geopolitical risk landscape that changes at a very high speed, right? We don't really understand fully the impact of all these things, unless we study them hard. And at the same time, Mika, my other news item was basically the NIS2 law, the cybersecurity law in the Netherlands will become effective as of the 15th of August in the Netherlands. It's finally decided. Yes,
Long
we are
overdue,
slow
but it's there.
in the Netherlands. Most European countries have that already in place. My news item isn't necessarily, the news item is that that's finally going to be in effect. Yeah, but what I want to make a bridge of is basically that given all the political developments, and also given that with all the new frontier models that we see out there, and again, I promised I wouldn't say AI. I'm going to say it probably a few times, unfortunately. But basically what we see is that all the attacks are taking place at machine speed, and it's now machines attacking machines and all those things. So my question is that, and basically it's to both of you, Menno and Mika. It's what we see if we have all these laws, and these laws are very good. Yeah, they have been well written, well prepared. Yeah, and for me it's a blessing that we have them. I've been saying that for more than a year because it's a good law, right? It forces people to think about things that they weren't forced to do before. Yeah, get the basics in place. But my question is this: is these frameworks and these laws that we have still applicable or basically fit for purpose for the world we actually live in, where everything runs at machine speed and political decisions are right? In the Netherlands newspaper, there's a blog about what decisions are being made across the pond, yeah? And there's a reason for it. I never saw that in the past years, a blog about political decisions that are taking place across the pond.
Yeah.
So my question is what we have today still fit for purpose for the world that is changing so fast, and also the machine speed things that we see happening around us as well?
My response would be no. It's not good enough. It's better than yesterday. Let's be honest, right? And I think that's the key. We need to speed up the way we do this, and that's very difficult because we have these countries. We have the European Union. We all need to agree with 6,000 different mindsets to cybersecurity and to looking at the world, which is very hard. I don't envy the people in the EU institutions doing that, but really looking forward, Mika, to your view on that, as you've been there, right?
Yeah, not only that, it's not the people. It's not only taking the decisions. It's also we need to write it down, right? What are the changes?
Of course.
But Mika, back to
It's
you,
the speed,
right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
But okay, I would be taking this kind of bit higher level thing. You have to remember that EU was established as a trade union. And at the moment, what we are trying to do is that it should be becoming a defense union, cybersecurity union. It's starting to spreading and in the areas where it's not supposed to be, actually. Partially, I would be also saying that the laws what we have been creating are fine. It's not the issue. It's just the enforcement is missing. And this is not only for inside of the EU, but outside of the EU as well, that this kind of order-based world is a bit disappearing. The laws of the Geneva humanitarian laws and these kind of things, who are respecting those anymore is the question. So that we are now seeing, very sad things happening around the world, and we are having a Geneva Convention, but it doesn't seem to be having any reflection to the real life what is now happening.
You're not referring to the football game between the Netherlands that we
No,
lost, right? No, okay, good.
Yes, there was something happening also in the field, which was not making me totally happy. But of course that this is a bigger picture, and of course that what is now happening is that we are making great laws, and when we are thinking about the artificial intelligence and the Artificial Intelligence Act, what happens if the rest of the world is not following that? And this might be leading into some unintended consequences. Is that the GDPR was a good thing because the issues were already on the table, and GDPR was able to solve this kind of practical problem what we have been seeing coming actually from the PRISM. And I've been always saying that the PRISM was a good thing for Europe because it was creating for us the GDPR. Now what we are trying to do with the artificial intelligence regulation, for example, is that we try to manage the development, future development. And that is much more difficult because we don't even know where the artificial intelligence is now going. And even we would be having the best possible laws here in inside of the Europe, it doesn't mean that the other ones which are outside of the Europe would be, following that. Even somebody could be saying that we are making this kind of European regulation colonialism, that we try to push our laws to forcing them to other ones. And the other ones will be only accepting those laws if they are making sense, if they are good. And now comes back to what the Quint was saying is that if the laws, what we are doing here in Europe are not good, it might be possible that the other ones are not going to pick up those. And this then we will be having a serious consequences that we are squeezing ourselves with the regulations which are super good, but they are just not fitting to the purpose when seeing the global picture. So of course what we should be doing is that selling these values what we are having, but in this current world the values are sometimes the question what might be going underneath the trade. And what I would not like to see happening is that, for example, we would be, as a trade union, we would be starting to trading cybersecurity or privacy for some others. Let's take this kind of totally hypothetical example. What would be happening if some country would be saying that I will be putting 50% taxation in all the European cars if you are forcing us to use the GDPR or CRA or Digital Market Act, then suddenly we would be in the very inconvenient place that we should be starting to thinking how valuable our privacy and cybersecurity is compared how much cars we are selling today or tomorrow.
Yes.
And these are the big things
indeed.
which are concerning me.
Yeah,
I can imagine. And it doesn't look too far away, something like that, right?
Nope.
Because we've seen taxations and stuff like that earlier in the year.
Yes.
So that's really... So coming back to your news item and the lovely fact of the splinternet, in some way, segmentation and all that stuff, that helps with security, right? But what's then the biggest problem with splinternet, Mika? Is that then that, for instance, one of these areas like the US, because they have less regulations, they will move faster and we will not be able to keep up? What's the biggest problem or challenge then with that splinternet?
Splinternet, of course, internet was a place where everybody was able to, visit each other, independently if it's your email or chat or whatever you are doing, but even the information. The reality, of course, is that if there will be happening splinternet and this kind of things like the data transfers will be start cutting, of course that it will be meaning that there will be this kind of bubbles around the world where the truth and the economy and cybersecurity, privacy, many things are starting to coming, and then actually you are having one truth there, which is not equal with all the other ones. And of course, that I have been always thinking that the one big thing what the human mankind is having good is that we can share the information, we can learn from each other, sometimes the good things, sometimes the mistake what the other ones are having. If this is now disappearing, of course the common intelligence in this planet is not going to be increasing. Actually, it will be starting to declining. So of course it will be having impact in the short and long term. And what I'm concerning, of course, is that we have been seeing this kind of walled gardens happening also sometimes. I think that not a single country should be having this kind of, how do I say, sovereignty, which would be preventing. The sovereignty is bad thing in that sense that if my sovereignty is ending in your borders and your sovereignty is starting from your borders, there is not going to be happening anything. So I like rather, how would I put that in the nicely, is that with open source, we share the common sovereignty with common rules and values and still enabling each individual entity its private safe spaces. So this is why we are in Luxembourg, we are using strategic digital autonomy. We are not building sovereignty because the sovereignty might be ending up in your border and you are starting with your the sovereignty. I would rather say that we are having a strategic digital autonomy, which is allowing us to work together with each other. We can have something which we are keeping for ourselves, but we are not blocking you or anybody else outside from here.
No, I like that. And we've been talking about the fact that people have been using the word sovereignty in the wrong way, and what they should be looking is their independencies, and to what extent they are willing to accept those and not. And that brings us to autonomy, right? And
Yes.
and what you're doing, I've read about it, right? That was already, I think, half a year ago, and I spoke about it. I said, this is great, right? Well, what's happening there? And I think there's another full podcast as well about this particular angle. But yeah, and I think it's really important that people are able to make decisions of what they do and do not consider as acceptable or non-acceptable, because that is basically the game. And that brings us also back to, I would say, the basic elements of risk management, right? It's nothing different than that, to be honest, right? For us security people, it's probably easier to understand than non-security people, because we've playing that game for a long time.
Right. And
So
of course,
if I- Go ahead,
when you are thinking about this digital sovereignty or independency, it's always good to remember that when I was working in ENISA, we were already realizing that we were having 28 different opinions. What is a digital sovereignty or independency? Okay, UK left the EU, so today we are having only 27 different opinions anymore left about the sovereignty and digital independency. And of course, every country has a right for this definition. But as I was saying that it would be much more easier if we would be starting to shifting our mindset for this kind of autonomy, because then actually we would be starting to thinking that how can we play these 27 countries here together and making some bigger things happening. And I'm happy in the other hand that we are having the regulations like the CRA. That is the first ever regulation what the EU has been making and taking account open source. It's mentioned there, I think, 79 times. That already is a great achievement. So far, open source has been invented in Europe, and not a single legislation has been taking that account. And finally, we are having something which is taking that account. But it has been taking 30 years.
Yeah, no, so I fully agree with you, because I have been personally pleading for us to come together as one more and more, on collaboration. And not only, it starts in-country collaboration, right? But then you still won't win it, as you said, with 27 member states. You need to come together as one in Europe as well, and really truly collaborate as one, and build things, I'm not gonna even say our own AI, our own cloud, but see, it's back to your previous 2 points ago, right? When you were explaining the impact of the splinternet and stuff, right? And the autonomy impact of that. I read yesterday, and I'm reading a lot of articles about that people are saying, okay, what US is doing is protecting their AI models at the moment, and using it actually as a weapon. So, for instance, we get the older models, and the Chinese are starting to do that now as well, so then it becomes also a trade thing instead of just a political, geopolitical, or cybersecurity, because it's about, I've got a better thing and I'm not giving it away until there's a newer model. Then I'm giving the older model away to those people who don't have these models. And you see this happening, and we need to follow this sharply as well, because it looks like it's becoming sort of a trade weapon now.
And you're absolutely right but this is once again, when you are looking the big picture, Europe has been never getting the best military aeroplanes from USA. We have been always getting the second best.
Correct.
So, if we are now starting to discuss about the artificial intelligence or what quantum or anything else, it is just the foreign policy in every country is that like in USA. I'm not saying that they are doing wrongly anything. They are working very pragmatic way. They are giving up the second best for Europe and other countries, and they are keeping for themselves the best one. So
and I agree with that fully, right? So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I think everybody is so focused on AI in this industry at the moment, right? But back to your example, we've seen it in a lot of other examples as well.
So we should not be, and think about the navigation systems. We were working with the GPS long time, and then actually suddenly, we were understanding that okay, the navigations are not in our hands. How about launching the Galileo satellites? That was part of the independency, so that we were suddenly having a digital navigation system up in the sky, what we are now able to use. But it was going all the way down that we were starting to seeing funny phenomena in our GPS systems here when the USA was having this kind of foreign policy conflict somewhere in the world, and they were shaking our navigation system. And
then all of a sudden I was driving with my car according to my car in the sea.
Yeah, exactly. So, but these are the things which are happening. Okay, and then we got the Galileo, we got the Copernicus, we got these. So technology is not the issue, but it's just needing that the Europe is coming now together. And here in Luxembourg, we are at the moment building in the CES, which is the satellite company here in Luxembourg, Iris Square. And the Iris Square should be satellite installation, which should be in the use of all the European governments, all the European military systems, and all the humanitarian organizations which are here in Europe. And this installation should be then replacing basically the Starlink. Okay, and this should be up and running in few years. Okay, I'm wishing all the luck for the CES because they are having a tough times to shooting all those satellites up. But the good things are also happening here, so this kind of autonomy is coming in the picture. But we should be also taking that in the user level, which is at the moment missing here in Europe. The big things are starting to shaping up, but how do we take this in the user end device level and then actually changing the rules and democratizing that as well?
You bring up a very, very important point as well, Mika, which is basically we seem to, as an industry as well, we seem to be focused a lot on the negative sides, but let's focus on the positive sides as well, right? A lot of very good things are actually starting to happen and are already happening.
So if I look at that, Mika and Quint, also looking at the time, we are going to wrap up. We will have a what's to read, what's to watch question later, Mika. So prepare for that. But the question here is, on that autonomy piece, let's step away from the word sovereignty. On that autonomy piece, you've been working a lot on open source. That's one of the items. That's one of the answers to more autonomy. What's your call to action to our listeners, to the world, to the European institutions, but also to bigger companies in Europe? What's the call to action to increase our autonomy within Europe without hampering the fact that we might slow down and lose momentum?
Yeah. Okay. It's easy to speak about this kind of open source and so on, but so far most of the narratives what we are having here in Europe are coming actually from this kind of superscalers or the hypervisor. And this is one of the reasons that we don't really have a spokesperson who would be speaking on behalf of the open source.
Okay.
And what is also happening in the same time is that our legislations, think about the taxation, for example. Why there is OPEX and CAPEX, in which bucket you are putting the proprietary software and which bucket you are putting your open source. And if the taxation is not treating these two equally, open source and proprietary, we might be ending up in the situation that taxation in Europe is not favorable for open source. Mm-hmm. For me, this kind of Sputnik moment was actually that 2012 when I was this phone. This is Nokia phone N900. This is open source. The processor is made in Europe, modem is made in the Europe, operating system is made in Europe, manufacturing is happening in the Europe, and the whole ecosystem is coming from the Europe. And if we are saying that this has been lost totally in 2012, it's not totally accurate because this is still the same operating system and so on. So these are existing. They are just not knowing so well at the moment. So that there is a Linux phones, there is a ecosystems, there is a different devices which can be bringing already in the short term. And remember, today when we are taking on average any program in this software in this world, 96% of all the softwares what we are using in this planet are already having an open source embedded inside. So this is meaning that it's very difficult to find any application which will be totally proprietary. They are using open source libraries and all these components. And this is also sometimes that when the user interface is just hidden by the proprietary solution, it means that the whole back end can be open source. But what we need to do and what the EU is now doing, which is I like very much, is that we are having now the European open source OSPO network, open source the program office network, which is starting to getting official status in the EU. Good thing. Okay. It's also that there is a happening in the back end is that European Commission with the European Commission we are working to get open source catalogs. So that we would be starting to collecting the open source from the different countries in the big catalog, so that all the European people will be able to go there and that taking the softwares what they are needing. And like here in Luxembourg, we have been committing ourselves for this catalog that we are providing open source cybersecurity tools.
Cool. So
if Quint would like to tomorrow establish a cybersecurity operation center done with the open source tools, I could be delivering that package to Quint. And he should be able to start up tomorrow without using any proprietary softwares or anything else. How many countries are actually knowing, like we are doing here in Luxembourg, our CERT is working only with the open source tools. Our National Cybersecurity Competence Center is working with the open source tools. And these are, available basically for everybody. So this is the big change what I would like to see happening is that it's not a question anymore that are they existing. And we are keeping the whole Luxembourg safe with these tools every single day and protecting the cybersecurity here. All with open tools.
Right.
Fantastic. That's how you do autonomy, I would say.
Yes.
Right?
So Quint, how can we bring that to we work in our company and we work with a lot of different House of Cyber type of organizations, especially in the Netherlands. how can we bring such an idea to those institutions?
Well, it starts with probably having the discussion with the right people. But I'm pretty sure, Mika, that you were already having those discussions with some of our other member states, right?
Yes, and of course that how we are now running that is that we want Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity would like to also be an accelerator in cybersecurity. So it doesn't mean that we are doing everything. What we like to do is that enabling. Remember that in Europe, 95% of the companies are small and medium enterprises. They are not giants like in the countries. They are small and medium. So how can you make these small companies, small and medium companies, to be as an accelerator in this cybersecurity? And how we are doing that, we are offering our tools for every single small and medium enterprise in Europe who would like to be starting providing, for example, cybersecurity services. So easiest way to start at the moment as operational cybersecurity center would be come and download all the tools from us, put those up, and then actually you go to the ice cream shop nearby you and saying that I can offer full CSO, the service for you with open source tools, what I was just downloaded from Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity, and, making them making business. And of course that in this way, small and medium enterprises can be starting to contributing in the taxpayers back and as a taxpayer, but also improving the national resilience, which is here happening here in Europe. So every single win what we are getting this way, that there is one more small and medium enterprise which is taking our tools and starting to offering services, it's of course accumulating the better resilience for the whole Europe.
Indeed. Well, that sounds like a great final tune, right? We have at the final bell here, and what we typically do is I ask you guys, okay, what should our listeners watch or listen to or read in the next few weeks before we have a new cafe available, right? What should they do in the meantime? I start with you, Quint.
Yeah, so last time we had Dimitri, right? And he was challenging me, what books did you read? I didn't read a lot of books in the last year. But I started reading one, and it's called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Sorry for the language. And it's basically having to do with deciding what and what not to do on a day, right? And so far, I've been halfway through the book. I like it because it's got some humor in it, but it's got some practical elements as well that you can use in your daily professional life as well.
Cool. And one thing to get out of that for the listeners?
For instance, for me, that's people that know me, that's less applicable because I always tell people I don't really have an ego, so I don't give so much about what other people think for me. But I think people that have that they're always thinking about, okay, what would people think about me? This would be a very powerful book to learn from, I think.
Cool.
For me, it's just a different way of looking at things. But I like it. Yeah, go ahead and read it. It's not a business book whatsoever, but it's like looking at yourself, reflecting at yourself and at the world, right? And especially if you are, for instance, a frequent public speaker, you'll get something very good out of it, I think.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Mika, what's to read?
Actually, I would be recommending reading the Max Schrems blogs at the moment. So as you remember, Max Schrems has been bringing already the European Commission 2 times in the knees with the GDPR. And he was writing in his blog very, very nice letter, very nice, polite letter to the European Commission after this Trump against the slaughter decision in court, and saying that what we should be doing now, actually, here in the end. And he's not doing that in evil-minded. He's doing that super polite way. But of course, that this dialogue has been just started, and of course, I would like recommending to reading this blog what the Max Schrems is keeping at the moment, from his emailing to the European Commission and back, because this is going to be this kind of rather fundamental thing in the European level, is that we need to do something. We can't say that okay, we will be waiting next 2 years, and that somebody individual, perhaps from Europe, is challenging the US the law system. No, actually, there has to be something done earlier. Of course, it should not be going into panic mode either. And in that scenery, I'm once again seeing is that this digital autonomy. I don't care that some of the things will be still floating to the other side of the Atlantic. But the question is now, after this decision, what are the critical things which will be keeping ourselves? And this should be forming and coming up in this dialogue what we will be seeing between the European Commission and Max Schrems. So pay attention what he will be discussing and having a dialogue with the European Commission.
We'll put that in the show notes. And by the way, maybe you know it or you don't, but we have in the Netherlands also a person who is doing that. It's Bert Hubert. He's also maintaining a blog, and he's basically focusing on the Dutch government. But it's probably very good to look at as well, because he basically most of it's also about digital autonomy, what he's doing.
Let's put that one
I
in the
know
show
him
notes
very
as
well.
well.
Yes, I can say that he's one of my friends. Yes.
Okay, great.
All right.
Well,
Thank you very much, guys, for your time, for your insights. Happy to be picking your brains for our listeners today. Thank you very much for joining. Hope to see you again, Mika. Maybe we come to Luxembourg with the whole kit, and we have a nice conversation in the studio. But for now, thank you very much, guys, for joining. See you later.
Thank you, and welcome here in Luxembourg. Yes.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.